Obviously the big story was just a couple things, right? Darwin Nunez going into the stands, but even before that, missing a lot of really, really great chances. There were a couple, especially in the first half, it felt a little bit like he's like, I'm gonna be the hero today. I'm gonna do this today and bring Uruguay to the final. And I probably missed a couple opportunities to just pass it off for what could be a better chance, or maybe even a tap in. Who knows? But Darwin Nunez makes bigger news because after the game, when there was already a scuffle on the pitch, something with Luis Suarez and one of the Colombian players.
When is Luis Suarez not fighting somebody?
As soon as you invite Luis Suarez anywhere, it's a little bit like
mind your ears and whatnot.
No, there's a common like meme amongst Hispanic people where they say, "Si sabes cómo soy, ¿por qué me invitan?" Which means, if you know how I get, why are you inviting me? And that's Luis Suarez. It's like you can't even be mad at him. You got to be mad. We all have to collectively be upset with ourselves. As soon as Inter Miami heard that Uruguay were calling him up, which is already kind of a big deal because he seemed like he was like got pretty much done, but
he's been declining. He's slower. For sure, undeniably.
And even in this game, he had a couple chances as well to at least tie the game, and it didn't happen. But at the end, he goes up to somebody, and I don't know what he said. But yeah, as soon as Yerry Mina checked into the game, I was like, okay, we know what's gonna happen. These are the two. I mean, if it was like a trash talking UFC match, these are the heavyweights. These are the two best at it, especially in South America. And so that's where it kind of started. And then some people are shaking hands, some people are clearly upset and arguing. But then for some reason, we see in the stands like stuff starts kind of happening. And you just assume, oh, fans are probably drunk and whatever, and then eventually you see Darwin Nunez and you see several other players. Araujo was there, who was injured, but he was in the stand. People are trying to hold Darwin Nunez back. Some people are trying to like protect others, and then we learn about that was where the families.
Those were absolutely insane scenes anywhere at any time. But to eventually find out that he was literally diving into the stands to try to protect his family, that's a whole other level of discussion that just shouldn't even be a possibility when you just got done playing a Copa America match.
Yeah.
I mean, any match
it's bad. I mean, when I've tried to parse everything I've seen. I'm sure you've looked at all the different videos, all the different angles. I've seen a bunch of them. Yeah. Okay. We're all the same. All right. We all want like the tea and whatever. So the one the first one, like from the regular broadcast, the Skycam thing is going in sort of into the stands, and you see the players. So it just seems like, oh, the players just ran in and are just fighting folks. So it didn't really make much sense. But then when you see there were a lot of like people that we know that work in soccer that were sort of in that section. So and they were filming it and had a very, very good look at it. That the clearest video I've seen was from this YouTuber. His name is QC Javi. He is based in Charlotte, and go follow him. Great dude, and he does. I saw he was doing stuff at TST when I was there. And you can clearly hear the Uruguayan player, and I forgot exactly who, but he was one of the guys that started it. And he said, "Familia no." He's saying, don't do any, the family here, don't fight the families. And this is where we learned later, that the Uruguayan players, the center back Jimenez was talking about it, that they were the Uruguayan players' family. That was their section, and they're being harassed by these Colombian fans. And Jimenez said that they were too drunk and whatever. I've also heard, this as well. I've heard that the Uruguayan fans that were in that section as well. Nobody's saying that it was family, but that they were also kind of jawing back and forth with the Colombian fans as well. I'm not here to take sides because the violence at any game is horrid and horrendous and should not happen at all. The context I sort of want to talk about this is in the Darwin Nunez and the players who are getting in that moment, because initially when I first saw it, I'm like, Darwin Nunez, what an idiot. Why is he going crazy? Why is he doing? He's going to ruin his career. He could get injured. He's going to get a crazy suspension. And then when you see him holding his kid on the stands and he's like nearly in tears and emotional, worried that something could have happened to his children or to his family or to his partner, then at that point I'm like, Darwin, like, yo, you had to do what you had to do. Like, it's bigger than soccer, and I understand that. But the other moment as well was before he went into the stands, he like threw a chair at the wall, like where the fans were standing. So there was so much antagonism and frustration and anger that it's just a bad look overall. And yeah, you have to put the responsibility on Darwin, on the Uruguayan players that were involved. You have to put the responsibility on those Colombian fans that threw punches. The guy threw a punch right at Darwin Nunez. Like, this is just insane.
I mean, fortunately or unfortunately, Nunez had about as many punches on target as he did shots that game. So
that's a thing.
No lawsuit. He's good. Go. The thing is, there's always going to be that element of rivalry and talking as a fan. It should never escalate, ever escalate. I don't care if it's like, oh, you threw a beer on me. Like, there's no reason that anybody should be punching each other, throwing things. It just is probably one of the worst parts of football culture that we have. Everything else is so good. And then there's this massive blemish. Well, the racismo and the homophobia. The worst part. It's like, let's just get rid of that.
Yeah, we don't need it. It was just it's shameful and it's embarrassing on all parties. I mean, the one thing is, like, you can't blame Darwin Nunez. Like, you understand.
I would 1,000%, and I said this before would be rappelling up there like I'm Spider-Man. Like I don't care, but like, if you're going near my family, it's on site. I don't care what the repercussion is. I'm protecting my people. So I get why he did what he did. And I don't think that you would otherwise make that extreme of a decision, because you also put yourself in danger, right? Like, there's a number of things that could have gone worse than they did. And thank God they didn't. But where was security?
Yeah, that's really and this is the interesting thing about.
No, like, this legitimately, actually, I'm so angry about this because the chunk of budget that's devoted to security for these tournaments is massive. Where was security?
This is my guess, because I was thinking about the same thing. And obviously, CONMEBOL is running this tournament here in the U.S. This has nothing to do with.
So you think they just slipped somebody a $5 and said, you got the gate?
It feels a little bit like, they took the approach that they usually have in South America is like, you keep the fans of the different the opposing countries, you keep them separated. They do not interact, and you have security guards at that border where those two fan bases meet. They have a wall of security. You see this with, like, stewards wearing the orange or the yellow, and they keep those fans apart. So it's something that it sort of felt like CONMEBOL was like, oh, it's the U.S., it's all kumbaya. They don't really do soccer like that. They're not big football people. They're not going to get like that crazy. We're going to let them, they'll be mixed, and it won't be that big of a deal. And for the most part, it probably is not. It's probably not a big deal. But look,
the problem is the precedent for having security like that had been set due to prior world issues with fans and things like that. I don't think the argument should be, oh, it hasn't happened here, or we think that they should be more calm, so we will like just not mitigate that threat. Like that's insane.
Right. Look, that's my guess. That's the only thing I can think of.
I'm sure it is, because we were just talking earlier today about how the women's Euros, they had pledged 17 or 15 to 17 million Swiss francs for the women's Euros, which pales in comparison to like the 70 plus million francs that they have for the men's Euros, right? And they had conceded and were like, oh, we'll give you 4 for women. And then you go back and look and realize that there's a significant chunk of the men's budget that actually is devoted to security, but they kept whittling it away because they're like, we don't need it for the women. Right. Nobody's gonna.
Yeah. It's look.
So I don't doubt that was the logical leap for them, or granted wrong, but I'm sure that was the thought trajectory.
Yeah, it's clearly irresponsible, and definitely like. I understand. I was at the Argentina-Chile game. I mean, yeah, there were a fair amount of Chileans, but there wasn't. There's no. It was a group stage game. I'm not like the context of it is also matters, right? It wasn't. I didn't see anything crazy, or I didn't feel like there was any sense of danger. But clearly, as you're getting closer to the final, the teams really, really want to win, and there's clearly a lot of pressure. So you would think. From a security perspective, like, all right, let's hire a couple more folks, just to, in case anything gets crazy. And then even when Darwin Nunez is in the stands, and if you're watching the clip, I don't know if it's security or maybe team staff or something, but it felt like more people were trying to keep Darwin Nunez away rather than keep the people that were like attacking them away from, you know what I mean? They were just like, yo, the players, y'all need to get out of here, because that's
why I suspect it was team staff related, because priority uno would be to protect Darwin Nunez. How do you explain to like his club, like, hey, this small thing happened. You might have seen it in the news.
It's like the dudes throwing punches should have been apprehended by security, but there seemed to be no one there to do anything. So it's just a really shameful situation, and there's a lot of people responsible.